Welcome to the Four Rings Inn. Grab a drink and settle in. This is Innsight, the show where our storytellers of our campaign City in Shadows spill all of their secrets about the episode. We are just moments away from Cinderfall, the great equalizer. How are we all feeling?
Yay!
Boo! John fucking sucks!
I'm Victoria. I'll be your innkeeper for the evening, and with me are our storytellers. We have Jacob playing our risky Renshaw, Aubrey playing our artsy Eleanor, and we have John, our haunting DM. All right, going all the way back to episode 15, where we last left off, we had our highborns trekking down into the catacombs to meet with the Spindle Maiden.
Spooky!
Were you guys scared?
Not at all.
That was
No.
fun.
I was honestly the most just creeped out when the enemy was a rat. Really loving that.
Yeah, we started off with a rat.
But I did have to take a health potion
When?
Yeah.
after the rat.
The rat.
I took a health potion because
Really?
we didn't know what we'd be facing.
Oh, that's smart.
But then I just did amazing in my high heels, and you guys were the ones who fell into the water.
Yeah.
It is true. There was a lot of history down there too in the catacombs. A lot of
Mhm.
Thalia's lost, forgotten history. That
Gotta
was
go
pretty
back.
cool.
Gotta go back in.
None of that shit matters. No, it was really cool
Yeah.
being down there.
Yeah, I'm excited. I want to kind of explore more of it.
That sounds like somebody who had to go on a family vacation. No, it was really fun. It was a great
It
vacation.
was really fun, and I really enjoyed it. And
The stupid science museum was great. I loved
Oh yeah,
it.
Eleanor, her dress kept getting all beaten
Listen,
up. You had the tear.
John
in the
didn't have to
shoulder.
say that my dress tore. He chose that.
Narratively, yeah, it was a choice.
Did I even roll a nat one? Like, was that my nat one consequence? Just like
I don't
a torn
think so.
I
dress.
don't know. I think that's like that one would have been way worse.
I tried to
Should've
like
broken a
body
heel.
language it where she kept going like this the rest of the episode because that's where he said the dress tore. Listen,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
a custom red vor.
It was.
You have so
yeah.
many.
And then the two of us, Oriana and Renshaw, both fell into the water at the
Mhm.
same time.
Idiots.
Yeah, the same time was tough.
Oriana definitely believes that Renshaw is to blame because you would right before that scene, you tapped my shoulder, I think to give put a spell effect or
Yeah.
something, and then we both fell in, and she definitely thinks that
I pushed you?
not like you were going to push me, but it was definitely your fault that she fell in
Yeah.
her mind.
You interfered.
You interfered with her balance and she fell, and then you fell.
I don't remember which buff I gave you, but I think I might have given you a D4 to give more balance.
And then you
Probably.
pushed me off.
But here's the thing, you keeping your spell secret, did you tell her that she had guidance or whatever you gave her?
If she got a D4, I told her she
Uh-huh.
got a D4.
Totally. I believe it.
Why would I do that?
I don't know, but it just seems like you'd be like, oh, she can't know what's going on. And then be like, oh shit, it was to add to her dice, I forgot.
Well, that has happened.
No, you do that sometimes. You're like, I'm not gonna say what the spell is until the effect happens. You've done that before.
I think that's more fun.
Which I think is a cool way of playing it. Yeah, it is more fun.
That way John doesn't know.
You have also missed, though.
Yeah, I've also missed. Pros, cons.
It's one less thing that I have to keep track of, and I love that.
You're welcome.
I know we have scarier things to talk about, but I still love this idea that Oriana and Eleanor enter the room with this scary, monster. Boss battles so far that we've met. We're talking to this person, and Venture's like, I'm not fucking going in that room. And then
You can't pay me enough.
dips. Then he walks away for a half a second. And we know meta to cast a spell. But, if the Spindle Maiden was watching, or, if we turned around, you just walked away.
Maybe I had to take a leak.
Then we also had the Crypt of the Nameless, where we had some unknown being just walk right out.
Oh yeah,
Just walk the steps all the way out.
that could be.
John
important.
says, oh yeah, like he forgot.
He's like, what?
Yeah, it was.
That could be anything. I mean, he
It
said
was
the footprints
4
were,
episodes ago.
You said the footprints were humanoid, but
Mm-hmm.
Could be anything.
Anyone.
Anyone.
It could be a doppelganger.
Oh, the
Oh.
hashtag doppelganger conspiracy
Doppelganger.
theory. I believe in
Yes.
it.
It's a doppelganger.
it could
That's
be the
actually how
doppelganger.
doppelgangers are born. They come out of the Crypt of the Nameless. And they're nameless because they're other
'Cause they
half-
have
Because
every
they
name.
changed names. Oh my god. Daybor was right. Well,
Daybor might be on to Renshaw didn't have a doppelganger.
No.
But there might actually be doppelgangers in the future that this is just foreshadowing.
Maybe.
And we have to be careful.
Maybe.
What if I convinced Jake before we did the crypts that he's now playing a doppelganger? What if Jake's been in
there's
on
a
it the whole
switcheroo.
time?
When he dipped out from the Spindle
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Maiden and we
Yeah,
didn't see
yeah,
him
yeah.
and he
Yeah, Renshaw is
swapped.
gone. Yeah, he's been gone for episodes.
That would be a crazy
Even
twist.
That would be
better.
fun.
I
Just
have
don't
to-
tell him.
I have to act surprised now.
I'm glad I wrote down what Dayborn used to track the doppelganger. Because I didn't know what he was doing at first, so I wrote down like the 3 things that he had. I'm like, now I'm glad I have that in case we come across another doppelganger.
Hey.
It might come in handy.
We also learned about Okanor. That was from the Spindle Maiden, right? Like we had no clue. I love how
Yes, you just dropped that.
we came in, we're like mother and father, and she's like an Okanor.
And
him.
yeah, that was big plot point.
Hey,
that
you
leads,
paid for it.
You did pay for it, but that leads like the rest of the campaign up to where we are now. Is that
Yeah.
one piece
Yeah.
of information
Mhm.
has trekked us on this whole lead.
Imagine if we
honestly-
saw the Spindle Maiden first.
I honestly don't remember anything else that she said.
She said that she
She-
doesn't know who Mother is, which
yeah,
means I now
and she
know.
gave us info on like the cloaks, but like
Mhm.
Okanor is what we're there for.
Okanor was
Yeah.
the big thing, and then she also gave us some information about Renshor's grandfather, that he also used to visit down here, and just more insight to his relationship with the cult a little bit.
It might have been more insight to you, but
She gave
Is
you
it true?
father's name.
My father's name?
No,
What?
like father of the cult.
Oh, father's name.
Father.
oh,
Just father.
Just father.
Yes.
Sorry.
Some in the previous episodes tried to call him daddy, and that
Oh.
was shut
That
down.
was
real
shut
quick.
down?
Yeah.
What is it's like Resbin something.
Resbin von Fair,
the dead guy.
The dead,
the dead
Dead.
guy.
He is dead. He's not
Dead.
dead. He's dead.
He's dead.
Dead.
He's animated.
He's dead.
He's dead.
Undead.
Dead.
Anyway, so following that lead of Okanor led to Renshore asking to meet with Okanor on the bridge. Did that meeting go as you thought it was?
Yeah.
It was so baller.
It was really cool.
Like we did not plan that. We had other ideas for like what we were gonna be doing in life.
Yeah, that was sorry. I felt a little bad for
No,
it.
I think it was perfect.
No.
I was just sitting there thinking about how I could just kill this man.
Yes, you did want to originally stab him.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was still thinking about, how I could stab him. And then I was like, oh, I could stab him on a bridge and push him into the water. And I was like, hey, man, want to meet on this bridge? And he said, sure. And then I had to figure out a way to get him there. And then I was like, oh, this works elsewise. And then I stabbed
Yeah.
someone else.
Then you stabbed someone else.
Yeah, you stabbed somebody and pushed them off a bridge.
Everything you wanted.
And you gave them your blood, you gave them everything they wanted, you signed up to join the cult, you murdered Dayborn.
According to plan, right?
It went great.
Okanor thinks that was a great meeting.
All according to plan.
According to plan.
It give us what we needed to set up for this new ambush. Which, to be fair, if we didn't know that like Okanor had the chalice, like we would have been fucked. Like there's no way that the 3 of us, knowing what we knew before that bridge encounter, like say we had gone to plan and we just followed Okanor to the site of Cinderfall and then like watched it start unfolding. Like, what are we gonna do against
Yeah.
what potentially dozens of people if we are to believe
Mhm.
the prophecy?
But it was also that meeting on the bridge was like 2 nights before Cinderfall.
The 28th.
And they still
Yeah.
didn't have Tyrval blood at that point. So I'm curious on
Yeah.
what kind of big attacks we missed out on leading up to Cinderfall, because now they're getting desperate to get the Tyrval
Mhm.
blood. And we haven't really had a big attack like of them coming after like Renshore specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of thought about that.
Well, that was when we had talked a little bit about me having to rewrite a bunch of stuff. It was because I was like, all right, like they're in desperate times, like they have to make big
Mhm.
moves. And then Renshore was like, hey, I'll show up. I'll meet you in a really secluded place, and I'll give you my blood. And they're like, cool, we can scrap a lot of these plans
Yeah.
because he's gonna do it.
Just willingly.
He's gonna do it for us.
Even you being a double agent has still, at the moment, just worked entirely in their favor.
Well, to be
Yeah.
a double agent, you have to be an agent.
I feel like I'm being thrown into the bridge a second time.
Thrown under the carriage.
Yes.
Yes,
yes.
under the carriage. Be
We threw
correct
Dayborn
here.
under the bridge.
Yes.
Well, Dayborn threw me under the bridge.
John, was the cult going to attack Renshore like in his home Is that info you can spill had it not happened?
Come on, give us the goods. What was
Or
planned?
were they gonna like go after like Kaz's death or something?
Yeah, were they gonna attack Hasdeath? I kept thinking that the whole time. Like, Renshaw was like, yeah, I'll just say goodbye and then leave. Or like, oh, I'm just not gonna talk to him. And the whole time I was like, is Hasdeath still in the house? Is he okay?
He's doppelganger.
Did
He's
they
gone.
take him?
He's a doppelganger.
I'm trying to think. I think I have to wait until after
Okay.
after the first of Asha to talk about. I think. Yeah, I think I have to.
Keep your secrets, Magic Man.
There's an important piece of information that is missing. That if I say too much, it'll spoil something.
What? We don't
Okay,
know
that's fair.
everything? That's so strange.
Well, you really don't know everything. I know
I was
more
gonna
than
say,
you.
Me and Jake are in a tough spot. This Insight. We have a real
Oh.
secret we have to keep.
Yeah,
You know who Mother is.
I came in I was
Mhm.
like, oh, I'm nervous. I can't say things.
What's her
I
name?
know. I wasn't
Who
planning
is it?
on asking who Mother was.
I wasn't even thinking about that one. I was thinking about other secrets,
Oh.
Secret.
like the fact that he's a
secrets.
doppelganger.
Of course.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll save this question for next Insight.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
You'll definitely get that question. All three of us will probably write it down on the Insight sheet.
Oh, yeah.
We'll all ask you the same one.
I'll answer it 3
Mhm.
times.
What
That's
would have
fine.
happened?
Yeah.
Following the attempted murder of Dayborn, we have
Successful.
technically successful murder. He was just brought back to life by a priest. Renshaw is interrogated by the cloaks over at Ashgate.
Yeah, that was terrifying.
And we found out that Dayborn was actually alive. Or resuscitated.
Yeah. He's fine.
John, you tried
What the
making a
fuck?
horror campaign. That was the scariest moment the whole time so far.
of being interrogated or when it
Arrested?
was revealed
Yeah,
that it
just
was
being like it was too real. I've just been arrested by the cops.
no.
You murdered someone, and then the next morning, cops show up at your door and be like, "We need to ask you some
You need to ask you
questions."
some questions.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that was
Yeah.
stressful. And then he was alive, and I was like, "Oh no, he knows.
Oh, no.
These aren't questions."
No.
My heart sunk when Eleanor was having her scene, and the guy was like, "Yeah, Dayborn's dead. But we'll try to get you someone to talk to." That in that moment is when I was like, "Oh shit!" Dayborn, that was the confirmation. Dayborn's gone.
Yeah.
We gotta work with someone
Saying
else.
that ahead of time made the drop so much harder.
You're welcome, John.
Thank you. I did not plan it, but it was perfect. Thank you for going Karen on those people. I appreciate it. But yeah, I think my favorite part about the Dayborn reveal is when he levels with Renshaw and is like, I know what's going on. You have a doppelganger. Aubrey's face was priceless. She was confused that Dayborn was alive, and then she's like, we need to fire him right now. We get him out. Put him back in the river.
also
Trust in Dayborn went. At that moment, I'm like,
I mean, low bar.
we shouldn't have saved him.
You put him back in the river.
At that point, yeah, put him back in the river.
Low
Oh,
bar.
that's so funny.
Yeah.
Well, before I thought he was just like a little goofy, but he was still doing his best. He was still getting us information.
Yeah.
And then he does that, and I'm like, no, never mind. I don't want to speak to you ever again. I have no reason to speak to you.
He's insane.
I looking at the roles that I've made for him. He is good at finding evidence. He is bad at understanding the evidence. He can gather a lot of good information.
You know what? That's
You know
what his
what I mean?
partner's for.
Hey, high perception, low investigation.
He needs a good partner to connect some dots for him. He'll build you the dots. He just needs someone to put them together.
Yeah. I'm not going to tell him what I have gathered with this information.
He doesn't have a
just
good
needs to
partner.
know. Another point in this mystery, Juliet, we went to go have a meeting with her after she slipped a little secret note into Oriana's pocket saying that she was scared and wanted some help.
Yeah.
And then no show. Do we have any ideas where we think she is? What's wrong with her? Is she dead?
No, well, the postman said she's not dead,
He just said she doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist.
which is
Do
interesting.
you think she ever existed?
That is a ritual gone wrong.
Do you think she ever what if she was the product of a ritual from previous? And she,
Like an
has anybody ever
aberration?
sent her mail successfully?
Is she the Nameless?
She was working her job 3 days ago.
But was she receiving mail?
They usually just ship it to the library. Yeah.
Yes. John said actually that there was mail on her desk
Oh,
opened
right.
by
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
Never mind.
That's true.
That's true.
But maybe they always just delivered it to her house address.
Every time someone gives mail for Juliet Ketter's like, oh, damn it. And to go hunt down her address again.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think she is going to be used ritualistically in Cinderfall.
Do you think, like, I don't know what find person does, or locate person. Does that work across dimensions? Like, oh, I already asked this in campaign. But
I
that's
think
not.
not. I think John has also expanded the distance of the spell through the
Well,
little
yeah.
amulet things.
Otherwise, it'd be kind of useless.
I think I had it before, and it was like 500 feet.
Yeah.
Mm.
If you're not right next, find somebody who's already next to me.
They can be a block.
It's just a way to cheat at hide and seek.
Yeah.
So we might not see her, you think, until we get to the hearth. Your theory is that she's going to be part of the...
Yeah. I mean, I feel like if she is someone nefarious, then there was no point in her slipping you that note.
Yeah,
So
She's a gnome, right?
Yeah.
she is a gnome.
So while I was having clandestine conversations with a gnome was having clandestine adventures with your pocket.
Yes.
yeah, you successfully distracted Okanor for her
There's
to slip her "please help me" note.
there's so many gnomes around.
Oh yeah, I didn't even
You
think
know,
about
like,
that. That
5.
Renshaw was distracting Okanor to give Juliet the chance to slip a note.
Yeah, I didn't think about that either. That's
John's like, I didn't think about that either. No.
No, her DC was lower to get it to slip.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because her husband was distracted.
Good job, Renshaw. I mean,
happy to
we
help.
still can't find her, but good job for giving her the chance.
She's still gone?
We couldn't find Juliet, so we decided to go rob the reliquary instead and go
Auntie.
steal an ancient artifact. That actually really wasn't an artifact, it was just a decoy. But
There's a replica
Yeah.
of an artifact.
I'm sure Stoneworth won't care.
I really don't think he will.
He's on vacation. The real one might just be in place by the time he gets back.
I needed the decoy, and I got your real one back. What's he gonna do? Is he gonna call the police on me? I am the police.
What a police thing to say. Good lord.
I
Now
love
you're thinking like the Ashen Order.
I love the imagery in that room of the 7-foot tall bat lady with the red cloak hanging down, with the
Yeah,
red
it's so
veil. That was terrifying.
That was scary. And then John saying that we put the chalice in the bag was a really good idea because every other
Yeah.
statue would have like saw us if we passed by. I honestly didn't even think of that. Like I know that Jake said he was like, "Oh, I was throwing that chalice in no matter what," but I didn't think of it like I was like, "Yeah, just to keep it safe and so we don't lose it or drop it or have it stolen from us again." Totally didn't think about all the other statues that we had
Me either.
snuck past would
Yeah.
all react as we passed by each one.
Yeah. No, I didn't think of that either. I think you said that at the off cam. The episode ended,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it was like, because if you just put it in like a pocket or something, I was going to have some kind of roll to see like if even like a glimmer of it got out and like they could they could see in the dark. So if they saw any glimmer of it in a movement, then it was going to
Yeah.
go off. But to put it in the bag, like completely sealed away,
They would never see it.
you would never see it.
No, I forgot about each statue that we passed.
Mhm.
I was thinking about the guards for like them to see it and like or take it away from us, or if they caught us and been like, "Where is it?" And we're like, "We don't have it."
Oh, where is it?
No, it was that encounter could have been really deadly.
Yeah.
So in our last episode that we have to cover, we got to see a lot of Eleanor. She got to go to the Temple of Evren, which we haven't seen before. That was
Nope.
brand new.
That was our last temple.
Mhm.
Yes.
That was the last temple we had to see, and Oriana very often visits the Temple of Amira. Is there any temple that like Renshaw is particularly attuned to?
No. Maybe Volsair sometimes, because his family's from the woods, and so it's more like tradition.
What about Ryan, the temple of the temple that's just a library?
That's cool.
Intelligence and
I'm telling you,
runic
he
magic.
doesn't go very often. He just doesn't go
He
very
just doesn't
often.
go.
To be fair, if I was in Thalia, I would also go to Volsair.
That's because you're a Boy Scout.
Yeah. He's the Boy Scout god.
And then Eleanor had her date meeting with Fortest.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I went.
I think it's a date. I think it was a very bad date, and Fortest is not good at expressing a lot of emotion.
What more could you want from a date?
But I
What
still
more
think in
could there be?
Fortessa's mind it was a date, even though it went so poorly from our perspective.
Poorly? You think it went poorly?
As a date, yes. I think it was a poor date.
He knows they could never be together, you know? Two heirs to a countship could never be.
It could be. They just are too greedy to make it so. It's not like it's a count and a peasant. They couldn't be. But two counts absolutely could be.
And in that scene, we also got to see the whole house was draped in the Saracom,
Oh,
the
man,
magical
Yeah.
fiber fabric made from the Spindle Maiden.
Yeah.
So that definitely has big connections of his family to the Spindle Maiden and all of the
Oh, yeah.
secret magic going on in the
I mean,
city.
generations of Red Boars have been, like, had a connection with the Spindle Maiden. So yeah, the house is decked out.
You gotta. They're the fashion people.
Gotta get the best.
She has a really wicked spindle.
Do you think it's just for fashion, or do you think they have some sort of connection to the cult, even if it's not like super nefarious to like Cinderfall?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Like we showed up with the red cloaks, and she didn't seem like.
Oh no, I lost mine.
Yeah, she was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I made these cloaks for the Spindle Maiden to sell to these other people, but she didn't seem associated in. So potentially they're a part of like a separate cult.
Let's move on to some questions that our storytellers have prepared to ask each other. Let's start with Jake. You want to kick us off with the first question?
I was not expecting the Spindle Maiden to look quite like that. Where did you draw inspiration from for her?
So inspiration for like especially the long arms. If you ever played the game Little Nightmares, there's a scene in that with this guy. He's got it's almost like a claymation style like movement that he has, and he has like these really long arms. And that imagery, I was like, oh, that's very scary. That's very unsettling, and I like that a lot. And I took that I had inspiration there. I'm trying to think for the corpse puppet was creepy, and I can't put exactly my finger on where my inspiration was from. I feel like there was another horror video game that we played that had like it was more like an animatronics in a corpse, and like that like jolty movement of a dead body was really unsettling. And
We got it from different video games.
Love that Granddaddy Tierval was like, I went down to the crypts, fucking weird puppet.
things were fucked up
Be
down there.
there. Wouldn't recommend.
Aubrey, question for you.
Yes.
Eleanor has been partaking in some very like typical adventuring party activities in the last couple days, such as exploring catacombs, heisting a museum, planning ambushes on particularly bridges, but ambushes in general. Do you think she enjoys this like dance with danger, or is she like, I'm just doing this until we can get back to normal?
I mean, she's a normal fucking person, so I think
Sure.
she doesn't like want to be facing all of this, especially considering the amount of danger that it has put them in. I think that's a little bit different than like sometimes D&D parties, like they're going out and they're getting a lot of like awe and adventure, actual adventure, and like other things out of it. That's kind of like risk reward situation. But this is just like a lot of things are attacking me. My city might burn.
That's fair. Yeah.
So I don't think she's like obsessed with it, but I think she is someone who would like adventure, just maybe not
In the same
I
place?
don't know if anyone likes to be a main character in a horror campaign. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah.
Like a D&D campaign in general, I think she could fit into that. But a horror campaign, no. John's like,
Dang.
do they like being in a D&D like horror campaign?
Are your characters having fun?
Are they having fun?
Are they having fun?
Jacob,
Yes.
why did Renshaw not trigger combat on the bridge, but rather stick to the con through the point of killing Dayborn? Did a part of him want to hear out his granddaddy's organization?
That's an excellent question.
That is a good
Thank
question.
you so much.
I will say right now, it was not because he wanted to like hear out the cult. Through the notes from his grandfather, he has a really shitty idea of what they're about. But he likes to pretend he knows what's happening. But no, it would not have been to hear them out. Really, in part, if I initiated combat and we managed to kill Okanor, that is one piece of a very large puzzle that we have 2 days to take down. And now that large puzzle will have higher walls, stricter gates, and we will never get anywhere. I needed to continue the con to get to all 3 of them. 2 at best, which I realized 2 were there.
No way to
Like
know.
when the Fanged Cultists popped up.
We can't beat that guy. I swear. I'm just not gonna, like... Also, part of me didn't want y'all to get hurt
Yeah.
in
that's fair.
in a poor decision.
It would have been a nasty combat had
Yeah.
you started it.
Granted, we could have just jumped in the river and gotten away, I guess. But
You could have tried to, as soon as he whipped out the chalice, grapple it out of his hand, jump into the river, and dip.
the bird would have been on me. Like,
Oh, for sure.
And what you didn't see was Mother was there too. Only Eleanor and Oriana got to see Mother in the shadows, but she was still there, and Rencher didn't
I
even notice.
completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All 3 of the big players were there.
Victoria,
Yes.
Dayborn seemed to bring you up the ladder by making you his partner. Were you worried about his death causing your demotion back to your old position? Not for his well-being whatsoever, strictly your well-being within your organization.
I will say that I think this perception of being Dayborn's partner is all only in Dayborn's head.
Oh.
I don't think Oriana has really given into the idea that they're partners. She always calls him Enforcer Dayborn. She like tries to be as professional as possible. She always calls him Sir. She doesn't really feel like his partner. Mostly like because I don't know, it's not an official rank. It was just something somebody said and he's like, "Yeah, partner, I like that," and like wrote it down in his book. And so I think if she ever went back to Brighthold Barracks or Ashgate, like everyone else is going to treat her just the same as just a lowly cloak, as more of like Dayborn's assistant. I'm not really his partner.
Yeah.
But in terms of like her saving him and making sure that he wasn't dead, I think she was more on the train of thought of, I don't want to be an accomplice to this murder. I heard about it on the bridge. I know what's about to happen in an hour. I don't want that on my conscience, like a man dead. And also for the sake of Renshore, like Renshore is going to be the one to murder him. She has to make sure that that's also not on Renshore's conscience. Like, I don't want my ex-boyfriend living with that like he just killed ex-fiance. Sorry. My next question's going to go to John because it's kind of on topic with what my question just was.
Mm-hmm.
What would have happened if we left Dayborn dead in the river?
He would die
Ooh.
in the river.
Well, what would have been the outcome?
Yeah,
I don't know.
he would have died. His body probably would have been swept down the river. I think that river goes to the lake.
Here's a question too. Most cities on like their walls that rivers run through have grates. So
yeah.
that people can't get through because that's a defense issue. Hugely. Everyone would just
That's
use
true.
boats. So his body would just be stuck against these grates.
He's
right?
would probably be stuck against a grate. I don't know. Yeah, they would probably be some like perception checks to see if people find the body the next day, or if it just ends up at the bottom of the river, completely washed away. If people did find it, they would find a sword that a unique sword purchased at Stoneworth's that could be easily traced back to Renshore, which wouldn't have been great. But yeah, he would have.
And then maybe you speak with Dead, and he would say Renshore killed me.
Yeah. They.
Would he say doppelganger of Renshore killed me?
In the moment.
Yeah, I think that if his body was found, he would. The action order would probably speak with Dead. He would claim that Renshore was his murderer and another cultist. And then at that point, like that's like As far as like magical evidence, like near irrefutable.
Yeah, you would have to been like, yeah, I killed him, but did you ask him why?
Yeah.
Oh, whoa! Never would I have thought of that.
Yeah, they probably would have put you in like some sort of like zone of truth, and like they would have broken out a lot of magic because they knew that like a trial, putting a viscount on trial, a viscount heir on trial, like you really had like they would have crossed all their T's, dotted all their I's. Renshaw makes a game time decision to plan a meeting with Okanor on the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Great decision, love it. Are y- are you excited for Renshaw to have like this
No.
cultist infiltration arc, or do you think he's going to try to get out of the cult at first opportunity?
This is certainly different than I was expecting. Didn't see this coming, but at no point has there ever been anything in this campaign I was like, oh, I know exactly what's going to happen next. So
Perfect.
now I'm in control, and John's the player to my DMing.
To your game. I love it. We're all just living in Jake's game.
Always. But I think it's fun. I'm not gonna make him leave ASAP because he got promoted. I mean, maybe he can turn this group of people into a positive light on Thalia.
Renshaw really does give the I can change her vibes.
Fortest is obviously trying his best. Is it good enough for Eleanor? And do you see her pursuing this relationship? Even if John doesn't want it to happen.
So, from mine and Eleanor's point of view, it feels like Fortest is just a little autistic kid, and I have stumbled upon his special interest. I do not think he is interested in me at all.
Oh, really?
At all.
That was a little date.
I don't think that Fortest saw it as that. I think Eleanor was hoping that it would be to an extent, but she also hadn't like gotten her hopes up in any way because she hadn't gotten that vibe from Fortest. Like every time I roll Insight, it's like, oh, he's super excited to give this information to you. Like he's gonna give all this information
But
to
it's
you.
to
It's
you.
never like, oh, he's also like leaning in or he's seeking her out. So I don't think so at all.
Oh. Follow-up question
Okay.
for Victoria. What was that dinner?
It was convenient, and she's trying to be nice. It was dinner as
Mixed messages.
It was dinner as friends.
So were these two not dates? Damn it. No romance happening in this campaign.
Just literally, like,
why am
what
I
was it,
here?
like 2 days before they had the talk in the carriage where she, I feel like, made it abundantly clear that I would like to stay friends with you. I want to keep hanging out, but it is just as friends.
And then you invited me on a date.
No, I said, do you want to grab dinner down the street? We're already here.
We're going to go to the atrium.
No, we did not. We went to whatever was closest nearby.
Victoria, besides the obvious worry for danger, how does Oriana feel about Renshaw's joining of the cult of Cinderfall, considering her past?
I came into this campaign
I want to know this.
with the intention of doing whatever it takes to get to the cult and to try to stop them. And then Renshaw pulled the little stunt on the bridge, and Oriana absolutely hates it. She has full trust in him, which is why she was like, we'll do it. I'll sit under the bridge. I'll wait and see how this like plays out. Hated it the whole time. Hated that he walked across the bridge the other way, was like totally planning to go through with this attempted murder. She absolutely hates. She doesn't like going into like going into Cinderfall with Renshaw just like in the carriage, completely separated from the two girls. Yeah, it's like eating away at her because she was like, I'll do whatever it takes, but I wasn't willing to risk Renshaw doing whatever it takes. Like, I should
That's-
be the one in that carriage. Why is it Renshaw in that? Like, but she's also like, I trust him, and he said he wants to do. Like, this is just the way things are playing out. I can't get in that carriage. He has to be the one there, and so I'll have my faith in that. She hates it though.
That's what I was about to ask. Would Oriana have liked what occurred had she been the one who got to do the risky shit?
And is that because you still love Renshaw?
I will not answer that on camera. I'll answer Aubrey's part and be like, yeah, Aubrey would rather be in the carriage than Renshaw for sure. But it's also like not out of pride that like she wants to be the one to do it, but it is because she's like, if she could put like Dayborn in that carriage, or maybe not Dayborn, but another enforcer.
Actually, I realized that. Maybe
We've lost faith.
Maybe the real enforcer.
He got put in the game for 2 seconds, and then
Yeah.
you pulled him right back out.
Oriana would put someone else's life at stake to try to like capture the cult here. She hates that it is Renshaw.
Yeah.
She does not like it. But she can't tell him no and be like, don't go it. Like, she's not gonna like undermine him like that. Like, he had this idea, he had the plan, he said I'm gonna follow through with it, and she's not gonna stop him, but she doesn't like it. I will ask my next question to you, Jake. How is Renshaw dealing with the fact that he has attempted murder and technically did commit murder? Dayborn was just revived by priests, but like, you killed someone and you're just Viscount heir who likes his books. How is Renshaw coping?
Let's be honest. Renshaw only half-asses being a Viscount. Everything else, he succeeds at. He murdered this man. Granted, he did fail at saving him from the attempted murder. Mm-hmm. But if we're gonna fail successfully. He did kill him.
You did kill Dayborn. How are you coping with that?
You could make an argument, Julius Caesar style. You don't know which stab killed him.
He actually hasn't really processed it, which is interesting.
That's yeah.
Jake hasn't processed it.
Because you were like,
I'm still struggling to process
really against me saying that it was okay if people died.
Yeah, you
and now you committed the murder.
I think that's called character development.
He understands Eleanor better.
Being an ass to me and then absolving yourself of all crimes?
It's the start of character development.
If he forgives Eleanor for what she said, he's like, I get it now. I've tasted blood and it's great.
That's character development. That's what it is. I don't know. He's not doing great. But he's alive, so there's nothing really to process.
Yeah,
like,
that's
he
hard.
died, and then immediately after, in my mind, he died, Oriana saved him. I was like, oh, cool. That was plan A all along. He's safe. I'm now the one in trouble, as he saw my face.
Just have to kill more people to feel see how you feel about it.
To get that character development. Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
This one didn't stay dead. You need to kill
Gotcha.
who stays dead
So
when you stab Okanor, like you had been thinking about.
Yeah.
Jean.
Yes.
Was there a role that Dayborn made behind the screen that influenced his?
That was my cat pushing everything off the counter.
Did a role for Dayborn happen behind the screen to influence his doppelganger theory? Or was it just your own version of a balanced consequence for killing and then saving Dayborn?
The doppelganger side of it was my plan for like you said, like a balanced consequence of, like, if he goes all in after Renshaw, like, how much does that derail the campaign? How much does that like change things in a way that I don't want to see, and that doesn't make a fun, like, there's a fun and interesting way where he does it, and there's a spot where you're in court for days on end, and like that is not a good horror campaign, right? And so like part of that was me being like, what's fun for the story, what makes sense. The thing that was a true role behind the screen was when he fell off the bridge rolling death saves for Dayborn, because the timing on it was tricky because you guys went and had a little conversation first before splitting up and then waited for Hamble to leave, which was all very intelligent. But it's more and more time that he was in the water.
Dying.
And after getting stabbed, he falls unconscious or goes down, right? And that's when Okanor throws him over the side. And his rolls were actually really good. And he made all 3 saves and then became stable, which was great. And then a stable unconscious body underwater becomes not stable anymore. And then he failed his second round of...
Then he started drowning.
Because then he started drowning.
So he survived the stabbing. He did not survive
That's
the drowning.
crazy.
So you didn't kill him.
I didn't kill him.
Yeah, which was also really interesting because if that timed out differently, the Revivify spell only works within a minute of death.
Yeah.
If it happens at any other time, like especially with the world of Ethereum, like the
gets a lot more complicated.
resurrection, it gets way more difficult after that minute, like exponentially difficult.
So if he would have died from the stabbing, immediately like died after falling in the river, by the time I got to him, it would have been way too late for Revivify.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a question for you.
For me.
For you. We got our first glimpse of the Lunaris clairvoyance in this most recent episode. From your perspective, from your perspective, aesthetically, what do you imagine those visions look like?
Well, before we got into the campaign, I had talked with you about wanting this clairvoyance power to be like generational, passed down from her family, and that something that I didn't want to just like pop straight into a level 1 character, but for her to like cultivate and grow this ability throughout the campaign. And so I thought it was about time that we like start like playing with it a little bit. But aesthetically, I got the inspiration as I'm someone who has like sleep paralysis quite often. And I kind of wanted the clairvoyance and the visions to feel like how I feel when I have sleep paralysis, which includes having that like demon intruder that most people with sleep paralysis get. And so you like completely, absolutely put the like intruder in there. You made it scary, which is exactly what I wanted for a horror campaign. I wanted them to come like the clairvoyance to be like a scary but like necessary part of her story.
So is the intruder something that all Lunaris face?
Or just you?
Or is it because of the cursed?
We built that into the story that it is something that just, at least to my knowledge, that Oriana has. And something so when she was a child trying to like tap into this clairvoyant power, she would sometimes like see this intruder, but never like really interacted with it. And when she would tell her dad was like, just like, that's just your dreams.
Yeah.
That's just you being a child. That's not you like having like it would just completely ignore her on it and be like,
interesting.
You're not like, it's not reasonable. Like you're just a kid and those are just dreams. Like that's not part of the power. But now that she has like been cursed and all of like her insides are all wacky and messed up, it has definitely gotten closer. It is now physical. It is scratching her now apparently. Yeah, that wasn't something that I put. That was something that John put in that like it left a physical mark when she woke up.
Yeah,
that was new for me.
Yeah,
Aubrey, which goes back. I know we've been talking a lot about the cult and the bridge scene, but going back a little bit farther to the Spindle Maiden, Eleanor showed no hesitation at pricking her finger for the Spindle Maiden, even though she seemed to prolonged like entering the catacombs. Was she scared in that moment being face to face with the puppet, or did she have like this boost of confidence?
I mean, I think there was always fear there, but once we got in there, it was very much of a situation where this is scary, but if someone's going to prick their finger, it's going to be me. And so I think that's where the zero hesitation comes with even filling the chalice with blood. We needed blood, and she immediately just cut her hand open. Like,
no hesitation.
The giving, well, I honestly didn't think that animal blood would work.
None blood works. Only Tyrval blood works.
Okay, it's a fake chalice. Even if you put your blood in it, nothing was going to happen. It's fake.
So then what doesn't work about animal blood?
Aesthetics. I don't know.
Okay.
Can I ask, where does it come from of Eleanor being like, I know Oriana's gonna do this if I don't, but I'd rather it be me. Like, where does that come from?
I just feel like such an ingrained part of her is trying to make everyone around her happy and like not go against that. And so if there's a pain that's going to happen, she's like, I know I can handle pain. I know I can put on this face. I mean, physical pain she's not as accustomed to,
Yeah.
but she is well entrenched in emotional pain, especially like with her parents and facing that. And so she's like, I will do this and I will be fine. So, I mean, no one wants their friend to get hurt except for Enjor, apparently.
What friend do I want to get her?
You just said you wouldn't have done it.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done it.
But like, if you knew that one of us three had to do it, you weren't gonna volunteer to make sure Oriana and Eleanor didn't have to do it, and that's fine.
No,
but
All right. So, final question for all of us here. Kind of maybe more so for just the players, but we'll get your perspective. Do you honestly think that we can completely stop Cinderfall?
no.
What are our chances?
John has told us off cam that
5%.
like the campaign doesn't get ruined if we do. Like, we do have that. It's not like we're still early enough in the game where it could still be like just risk mitigation. I mean, I think we have a better chance with our current ambush plan than had we just rolled up, like I said earlier. But
Yeah.
True. Our chances have increased recently. They've also decreased recently.
yeah.
I think that Cinderfall is absolutely stoppable. I think that
Just not by you
like,
bitches.
But can we do it?
well, I no. I think
Not
I
with the
think
plan you
I
guys
think you
have.
guys can do it. I think
Wow, that's a different answer than when you
you're
started.
going to have to put yourself in a lot of danger, and maybe even intentionally put other people in danger to be like a situation where like we're being attacked. I have the chalice, and I need to leave them behind in order like to get this chalice out. Right? Like that's you know what I mean? Like decisions like I think not necessarily that decision, but
I'll
I think
give it to
those
Eleanor.
types
She has no problem killing us.
I think those types of decisions are going to be what stops Cinderfall. But I don't know.
It's a lot to think about. You're leaving us with a lot to think about.
You have to get yourself, I think you have to get yourself in a good position, and then even in that best situation, it'll be some tough decisions to make.
What do you think, Tori?
I don't know. It is. I think our odds are definitely better now since we have the whole like carriage ambush set up. I think we have a good chance at swapping out the chalices. But again, I don't know if they have like a backup plan. I don't know if we're gonna make it to the actual cult at the hearth. I think we have good chances at this ambush. I don't know if we have good chances whatever's past this bridge. I have no idea.
Past the bridge, I think it gets to a point where it's too dangerous, where Eleanor is going to be like, I'd love to stop this, but I'd rather the three of us survive.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
As I'm in the carriage.
Well, we have a plan.
I mean, I feel...
You're so safe.
I feel very safe.
Like,
and if
you could just let us die in this ambush and be like, yeah, man, fucking kill him.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, she broke up with me.
You're right, I could.
You could.
But I couldn't.
What a twist. We were talking about Renshaw having to roll a new character. No, he's the only one who gets to keep his character.
We're entering a villain arc at the cost of Oriana and Eleanor.
Of 60%, 66% of the party.
That would be insane.
That would be crazy.
All right, guys. I think it's time that we end this episode. We'll end with a roll to see who is going to be our innkeeper and host for the next Insight episode.
Jake.
We're all kind of hoping that it is Jake because we've all had a turn so far.
We haven't seen it yet.
I know.
And there's good reason.
Just to remind everyone, so Aubrey is number 1. Jacob will be number 2. I'm number 3, but I will not be rolling myself. Otherwise, I will just re-roll. And John is number 4.
Oh, yes.
So what we're all hoping for a 2. A 2. See. What do you think it is?
I know what it is.
What is it?
I read it.
I think it's a 4.
It's a 4.
It is a 4. I will be hosting the next one.
It's not luck. It's telekinetic powers.
All right, everyone, thank you for joining us here. Please leave a like, leave a comment down below, and please subscribe to our channel so you can get all the latest updates on our campaign, City of Shadows. Until we meet again for another round at the Four Rings Inn.
Woo!